Welcome to Time Freedom Daily. We're back again. This is your spot for daily nuggets on everything you need to know, from Finance 101 to crypto to whatever is in between, to get you to time freedom and financial independence. And I'm here with my partner, Chris Adam. Chris, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm excellent. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. The market is green. The market is really green today. Woo!
How is that? Actually, let's hop right into it, because the market is exciting today, and I'll go over just some key points. Market cap at getting to that actually might be an all-time high, 2.45 trillion.
Just below it, yeah. I think the all-time high was 2.55, but we're getting there for sure.
Yeah, 24-hour volume, 120 billion. Bitcoin dominance, 46.5, because of this. Look at that, 61.1.
Almost all-time high.
Look at that. Yeah,
that's a beautiful sight.
All-time high is days away, I have a feeling.
Right. And, I just want to say something real quick. I was going to go live last night, but there's I would say, a pretty strong sentiment across the market that the Bitcoin futures ETF is going to be approved. Even the SEC has tweeted about it. And although it's not a spot ETF, which means it's actually backed by physical Bitcoin, it's backed by the futures contract, which is going to bring trillions of dollars into the market through this ETF fund, because now banks and institutions, you've got something tradable that's in their comfort zone. So this is going to bring a huge amount of visibility to Bitcoin. And once this goes well, which we know it's going to, we know that we're going to have a spot back ETF in the near future, where we're going to have physical Bitcoin locked up forever. That is Bitcoin you cannot get your hands on. We all know what supply and demand does. Supply goes down, demand is still high, price goes up. So this is going to catapult us into the end of this fourth quarter and into the first quarter of 2022. So we're super excited.
Absolutely. And even though it's a futures ETF, the big houses that sell the futures, they need to keep Bitcoin on hand. So it's going to drive demand nuts, and it's going to bring even more adoption. Even more people are going to be exposed to the crypto world and Bitcoin itself. So yeah, very exciting day. And it's bringing up a lot of these coins with it, actually. And sometimes we see the opposite. Sometimes we see there's so much excitement in Bitcoin. Some of the altcoins drop, but there's a lot having a good day. Solana up 6.7%, which is great. Uniswap's up. A lot of these are up. Let me just look at the regular markets. S&P is up, NASDAQ is up, Dow Jones is up. Everybody's having a pretty good day. I know Tesla's way up. I was looking at that earlier as well. Tesla up almost 2%. So
sweet.
Yeah, pretty good days all around.
Absolutely. And you know what? This is what we had the sentiment, especially in the crypto market, when you get the ups and downs and the ebbs and the flows, is to just hold and you don't get hurt, right? You can't win or lose if you don't sell. You're in it for the long term. So that's why we have that term hodler, which we are. I know that, Chris, you get in out of some positions a little bit more often than I do. Mm-hmm. I have sold a few, but it was really only to accumulate other coins that I'm really in love with. Exactly. And just trying to see what happens for the rest of this market. But this is what we've been waiting for. Everything follows Bitcoin, and we know that it's just a matter of time before everything else kind of comes with it, gets drug up with the money. Because as the money comes in, and let's just say people want to move some of their profits out of Bitcoin, well, where's it going to go? It's not going to go in their pocket. It's going to go into altcoins, which is then going to bring that market cap up. And so that's super exciting. But wow, what a day so far! And guys, Friday is our day to interview successful people. We want you to know that there's successful people in all walks of life, no matter what path they took. And today we've got a friend of mine. His name is Mario Rodriguez, and he is a very successful uh, individual in the mortgage industry. He's got partners in his own firm. He's got a economics degree with a minor in marketing from FIU. And he got in really early, got into the market back in 2008, and he's built his business. He's been in and out, but right now he is very successful. And I wanted to bring him on to kind of pick his brain about what his day to day is, what goes on in his mindset, and what he feels about investing and real estate in general. So let's bring Mario up, and we'll get going on this Friday.
Hey guys,
Hey Mario, good to
having
see
me
you,
on.
brother.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what I want you to do is I kind of just give a brief, intro into you. But I'd like to know a little bit more. Just give us a few minutes worth of, who you are. Just tell us about yourself.
Yeah, man. So I was born in Cuba, Havana, Cuba. Came over here when I was 9 years old, and seeing my parents struggle, getting two or three jobs just to kind of get ends meet, and that kind of drove, instilled a sense of urgency in me. It kind of, I guess, in a sense, made me who I am today, right? I don't want to go through. I don't want to see, my kids or my family or anyone like that struggle ever again. So, born in Cuba, came over here when I was 9, went to school, obviously, at college. I did the whole college thing, 4 years. It actually took me 8 years to graduate. I was working a full time job as I
Mm.
went to university, uh, and that's kind of got me here today. I got into real estate in 2006. I became a real estate and mortgage broker back then, as it was known. And, I was licensed at 19, actually, September 26, 2006. I still remember the day.
Wow.
And, went full time real estate agent, mortgage broker in 2008 or so. And the market, not a good time to go into the market at that time. Learned a lot, right? You learn a lot from, I learned the ins and outs of foreclosures, the foreclosure process, the short sale process.
Mm.
What happens when somebody stops paying their mortgage on the 91st day, if it's a primary residence, if it's an investment, and all that. So learned a lot through that. Went into banking for about a year and a half, something like that, 2 years, around 2009, 2010. And then eventually I said, you know what, this isn't for me. I have to do what I love, and went back into real estate. So I kind of took a risk, right? Anytime that anyone's starting a business or going self-employed, it's a little bit scary, right? You're putting a lot on the line. It's a lot of risk you're taking by
Mm.
doing so. So I gave up a steady salary. Everyone tells you, go into corporate, get your degree, do this, climb the corporate ladder, and ultimately that may be good for some people, and it may work. I mean, it's nothing against that. It just wasn't for me. So sometime in 2010, I decided, I'm quitting this banking job. I literally quit. I drove up to somewhere in Fort Myers, where at the time were the only school that was giving the mortgage license course. I took a weekend course, stayed in a hotel nearby, and signed up for the mortgage exam. And in less than 2 weeks or so, I was completely licensed, and was able to get back into the mortgage industry again. And here I am today.
Awesome.
That's an amazing story. And you said it's. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I know my internet is not
Yes.
amazing today, but you did. It is scary going out on your own. We've all been there. What was it that drove you over that fear enough to go out on your own? Was there a
Um,
time? Was there just
yeah, I
thing?
mean, there wasn't just one thing. I think it was multiple things. I think what you have to ask yourself is, yeah, it's scary to jump into something like that, to pursue your goal per se, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your loves, but it should be even scarier not to pursue those. So
Amen.
at some point, I realized that it as scary as it could be, I knew where I didn't want to be in 5, 10 years. So, kind of like a tip, or maybe kind of, advice for someone out there that's trying to figure out where to go. And it's equally important to figure out where you don't want to go, because that at least will steer you away or closer to where you want to be, wherever that is. So I remember, I remember sitting at my desk in my banking job, and awesome people to work with. Nothing bad to say. They're actually, some of them are still in banking, some of them are still my friends. But I remember sitting there, man, and it was that 9 to 5 that I was like, I can't do it. I need to be out there making things happen. I can't be restricted to my desk. I need to get out there, meet people. I had to make as many phone calls as I need to make, visit clients, etc. And when it came down to it, if it's just one thing that I can point to, is that fear of, I don't want to be here or there in 5 to 10 years. Therefore, I must take this risk, and I took it.
Love it.
Love it. Absolutely. It's funny. We do these interviews, and so many points kind of echo. Like, I know I don't want to do this. Our friend Gary's like, I don't want to have to go to my boss and ask if I can go to the bathroom. I just want to go to the bathroom. If I want to go bowling at 10 o'clock in the morning, I want to go bowling at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's the things that he says. And, and we talk about, your house being on fire, and that's what you had. You were like, you know what? Yeah, there's comfortable here behind me. I got a steady paycheck, but man, I have to go do something else. And I love that, but I want to tag team on, your experience, and not just kind of make it generalized, but I know that you not only work in the real estate field, as a self-employed person, but you also do some investing. I know you invest in some real estate. Tell us about the real estate market, how you invest in it, and also give us some other examples of things that you invest in, so that our people out there know that to be successful, to kind of get that nest egg set up for your future, investing is a key part of it. So tell us about your investing, your background.
And we can talk about this for hours, bounce ideas back and forth and so forth. I guess it's worth mentioning, this is not investing advice, financial advice
Absolutely
of any
not.
kind. This is what I did and what worked for me.
Yes.
And I realized that there's three or multiple strategies for investing, right? You have in real estate, so you have your short-term flips. This is, you buy the properties, you renovate it, and off, you sell it off at a profit. That requires a lot of capital investment up front. And for your young entrepreneur, your young first-time home buyer, coming across or having access to those funds is very difficult. Doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you see out there of people telling you can buy a house with 0% down, you can borrow money. It doesn't work that way. So I know flipping at the very beginning, I knew it was something that, though I wanted to do it, it wasn't the right strategy for me at the time. So another strategy is a buy and hold strategy, where you're building wealth over time. You're buying properties at the right price range. You're getting the right interest rate, something that positively cash flows, so that you're not negative. And that strategy is more in line with, or easier to get to, with a young entrepreneur, someone that's looking to create their real estate portfolio over time. So sometime, I believe I was about 24 years old, I bought my first property. And it was a small condo. I did 3% down, and that was, I realized how easy it was, being in the business, having access to that to those loans. I realized how easy it is to build this portfolio over time. And the best way to do it, and for me at least, was to do it in a certain order, where the banks don't require me to pay 30% down to buy investment properties, right? There's something out there called home hacking, or what is it, property hacking, something like that. It's an old strategy, something that's being brought to light through some of the big YouTube personalities and so forth. But essentially the banks say that as long as you're buying a primary residence and you're going to live in that primary residence, or you intend to, for at least a year, then you're only required to give the minimum down payment. In conventional loans, that's 5%. So what I found was I bought a condo for, one condo, and that was 5% down, very affordable. It was $150,000. I think out of pocket for me, it must have been maybe $11,000 initially. So my strategy at that point, at 23, 24, was to every year add a property, create a real estate portfolio where over time it becomes easier to pay these properties because of inflation, interest rates, and so forth. And now over the next 5 to 10 years, I'm going to have 5 to 10 properties where the rental income is now something that I'm going to be able to live off of. Not only that, I'm also buying properties that are appreciating over time. So bought my first property, a 1-1. Second property has to be an improvement. I know this from being in the mortgage industry. As long as you're buying primary and an improvement on their current home, you can buy it as a primary residence. So there I was, 25, 26 years old. I bought my second property. Now this time it was also a condo. It was a 2-2. So now I'm at 2 properties under my belt, and minimum down payment again, 5% down. So I don't need access to 20, 25, 30% down like some people think that they need to have in order to create a real estate portfolio. And a year later, I bought a townhouse with, again, 5% down, right? So it's a formula that if you implement it correctly, legally, and all within the lending guidelines, you can multiply it and do it every year. And over the course of 5 to 10 years, you can easily own 5 to 10 properties, and give yourself that time freedom, that real estate portfolio where you're growing the equity, you're growing the value over time. So once I built that portfolio, then I want to say I had 5 properties by the age of 28 or something like that, right? 27, 28. I was able to amass four or 5 properties under my name. At that point in my life, I got a divorce from my ex-wife, and I was back at zero in all these properties. I had to sell off, and I was okay because I knew how to do this again,
Duplicate it.
right? The difference now is I sold off 4 or 5 properties with equity. So I
Mhm.
made some money on those
Mhm.
properties. So I just started the process again. I bought a 1-1 bedroom, lived in it for a year, bought a 2-2, lived in it for a year. And now the equity that I gained from the sale of those properties, I reinvested some in the stock market, I reinvested some in crypto. So my investment portfolio now consists of about 3 investment properties for real estate, plus my property that I own, and then I have some money in crypto. It's about 50% in real estate, about 25 in crypto, and in stocks.
Excellent.
Wow.
I've got a follow up question on the appreciation of real estate. There's a lot of people on YouTube that are talking about uh, equity and properties not actually truly being equity, it's just really kind of following the inflation of the dollar. We've printed 40% of the dollars in the history of dollars in the last 2 years. And we've got this inflation of housing prices. So, what is your take, real quick, on that type of what's the word I'm looking for?
Is it
That
That type of
inflation or
freedom.
is
story.
it actual? Is it actually?
Yeah, is it
So,
inflation or is it actually appreciation of value?
at the end of the day, whether it's something that's made up or not, whether it's real or not, at the end of the day, I own real property,
Mm,
Sure.
so I could always fall back to that.
Hmm.
Equity in homes is really made up. It's not something that it's not tangible. You can't grab the equity.
Right.
And sometimes you'll have markets that are up and your equity in the property may be 20, 30%, 100, $200,000. Market crashes, that equity goes away. So really it's made up value, it's made up money.
mhm.
That equity becomes real the moment you access that equity.
Sure.
So it's one of those things that it's better to have and not need than to need and not have, kind of thing.
Sure.
right? So as you're building equity over time, you want to access or reaccess that equity and reinvest the equity that you have into more investment vehicles, whether that's stocks, crypto, other properties. So my take on it is those people that say that equity isn't real and so it's not. You're right. It's not real
Gotcha.
until you make it real,
Sure.
right? So there's a few things you can do to do things like that. You can sell the property, right? And now you've gathered that equity. You can reinvest the equity. You can now do a line of credit, home equity line of credit on the property. You can do a cash out refinance on those properties, second mortgage, and so forth. So you take that made up equity, that made up value, and you turn it real. And from there, you reinvest and keep the money working for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I
Excellent. Okay,
love
great. That's a great answer for sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, and it's kind of like the same. You can make the same argument for other currencies. The dollar
Mhm.
itself, what is it backed of? I mean, it's a fiat
Sure.
currency. Same thing with crypto. What is it? It's a made up. The value of something is only as much as you're willing, or someone, the market is willing to pay for something,
Right.
which is why a property today may be worth 500,000. Next year maybe a million. Next year maybe back to 500,000. That value, sure, it's made up, but so is the
Mhm.
value of the dollar. So is the value of other things. It's
Sure.
only worth something when someone's willing to pay for that. So
Sure.
For sure. It's a supply and demand market always. I love that. You mentioned your divorce, and it's funny because one of our other really successful friends had mentioned that that was one of his biggest mistakes and learning processes. Was there, I know your world hasn't always been rosy. Nothing's always a win. Was there what was your biggest failure? What was your one thing that you attribute your biggest
yeah, I'd probably so many things come to mind, and I'd say that it's not starting in real estate earlier,
Mhm.
because knowing how easy it is to be able to gain access to financing, and building your real estate portfolio over time, I regret not having started even earlier than 25, 23, 24, 25 when I did, right? I should have been, instead of buying that the new Benz when I was 19, 20, I should have bought a condo.
Right.
And kind of you live and you learn. So having access to the knowledge, having access to a good broker, a good real estate agent that kind of guides you through being able to buy these properties is golden. And going back to the beginning of our conversation, where we talked about I couldn't handle a 9 to 5. It Even someone that has a 9 to 5, there's a lot of positives that come along with that.
Sure.
There's stable income, so
Mhm.
we're able to approve that person much easier than we would for someone that's self-employed, for someone that has multiple jobs and so forth. So if someone has a 9 to 5 and they're looking for a way to get out of their, or have their time freedom, have the monetary freedom that they're looking for, they don't have to quit their job if that's not what they want to do.
Exactly.
Entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
Sure.
You can have your 9 to 5, be the best you can at it so you can grow within that company.
Sure.
And your side hustle is building your real estate portfolio.
Bingo.
And
Mhm.
having that as, again, having the stability of a 9 to 5 is gold. There's many times where there's been downturns in the market, and we don't close something, we don't get paid, right? The person that has that 9 to 5 with a salary, they get paid. They
Mhm.
have that foundation of income, solid income coming in. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have a 9 to 5. Use it to your advantage, right? So if now you know that getting into a property only requires 5%, or 3.5 if you're doing FHA, then save up that 5%. Start with a condo,
Mhm.
right? And you could be 22, 23 years old, making $40,000 and be able to buy a condo for 150, 160. Now you have your first property.
Sure.
Save up for the next year, move into the property. Year later, you do it again.
Mhm.
And you could easily have, by the age of 30, have 8 or 9 properties. And what happens is, over time, as these properties are creating equity that made up money, put that equity to work for you, and access that equity. And as you get more properties, exponentially that equity grows, and you can multiply the amount of properties that that you have much quicker than if you didn't have that equity accumulating over multiple properties.
Absolutely. So yesterday we had a stream and we talked about it was Side Hustle Thursday, and we talked about a bunch of different side hustles. It's not saying quit your job, your 9 to 5 is that security blanket. It's what you do from 5 to 9. And we gave an example at the very end of let's just say you made an extra $1,400 a month, and you put that over 20 years into a retirement account, earning 10%, because that's what the stock market's been returning on average over the last 100 years. That $1,400 a month, if you didn't touch it and you kept investing it, is $1 million in retirement, just by taking that extra side hustle that you don't necessarily need for your bills, doing that. And we always talk about if you've got high interest credit cards, make sure you're paying those down first, because they're going to eat your heart out. But yeah, man, you hit the nail right on the head. And it's definitely nice to hear an expert in another field basically echo that same sentiment. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, and having, just to note on that, John, having access to a 401k is another big benefit of having a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
If you're working for the big banks, if you're working for a big software company, etc., you get all of those benefits that we the self-employed people have to pay for on our own. We don't have access to 401ks unless we have, I believe it's like 5 or more employees or 10 or more employees, something like that. Then we can create a 401k. But even then, it's not something that we have access to. So the people out there that have a 9 to 5 and have that 401k and they're not taking advantage of it, they're leaving money on the table. So if your employer matches up to 6%, you better be putting in 6%. That's free money.
It's funny because on a stream before the last one, we talked about retirement accounts and we talked about the 401k. And if you have a 401k, max that out first before you put any extra else into an IRA or a Roth IRA or any other investments that you want to, because you're probably getting a match, whether it's 2, 5, 6, 50, they can match up to 50%. They can match a lot depending on how generous the employer is. So again, I love hearing reinforcement on some of the information that we're giving. And again, guys, we want to stop right here. This is not financial advice. These are the opinions of 3 guys, and your journey is your journey. You do your own research, you make your own decisions, but we were just sharing what has worked for us and our opinions. So, Mario, do me a favor, give our viewers 2 or 3 points of advice that you could give them if they were looking to do something in your career line.
So, man, 3 points. The grind's the same anywhere you go.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut. There's no lottery ticket. Well, there is a lottery ticket, but there's no lottery ticket. It's not like, when I took the plunge into going back into the market full time, real estate broker associate and mortgage broker at the time, and back in 2010, I kind of just went back to the basics. It's the grind is the same. Is really the first point I want to make. Whether you're washing cars, whether you are a teller at a bank, whether you are selling insurance, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a grind. So just pick the grind you like, right? I wake up, 5 something a.m., 6 o'clock, 6 a.m., and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why I do that, and it's going to be a grind whether I get up, to make my mortgage calls, my client follow-ups, etc., or whether I need to go into the bank like I used to do back in, it's the same grind. It's the same grind for anyone. So don't try to take shortcuts. Be good at what you really like, and just pick something you like and stick to it. Give things a chance to work out. If you find that you're trying a new career, you're trying a new business and it's not working out, don't be stubborn, or don't be prideful to say, hey, I'm gonna shift into something else. You got to be a smart investor. At the end of the day, it's if you came into a situation where X was expected given the data you had, and now all of a sudden that data changed, it's not very smart for you to kind of close yourself off and not shift given that new data, right? So be fluid. If you're learning new things, give it a chance, but at the same time, know when to put a plug on things. And that's it, man. Real estate, I would say third point is real estate. building a real estate portfolio is not something that's too difficult. It doesn't require a lot of money, like your banks out there make you believe. Yeah, there are banks out there that require 20-25% on your second and third purchases, but that's not the case with everyone. We have access to over 17, 18 residential lenders, and our underwriting is very, very lenient. And just give yourself a chance. If you want to create a side hustle in building a real estate portfolio, then do it. But make sure you know that it's going to be a grind. Make sure you give it a chance, and start early.
Yeah. No, that's amazing advice. Your whole stream has been amazing advice.
Yeah.
It's not financial advice.
No, it's life advice, and that's what John and I really talk about every day. It's life advice, because nobody teaches young people, middle-aged people. Nobody teaches any people really life advice, and so that's what we're trying to do.
Look, man, we all get caught in the cycle of getting up, going to work, coming back, getting up, going to work,
Exactly.
and we often miss the things that really matter in life, right? And it's important that we don't get, or at least for me, that I don't get caught up in those kinds of cycles. Not to say they don't matter. Your responsibilities matter. You got to pay the mortgage. You got to keep the lights on, take care of your friends, all that stuff. It's a given, right? But for me, is I can't get caught up in that cycle where it's not exciting. I'm waking up to doing nothing. I don't have goals. I can't do that. So it's more of the it's more of a waking up and getting things done for in fear of having to go back to that mundane job that I don't like, that I don't want to do,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it's worked out, and I advise everyone to pursue it's their own moral responsibilities to pursue the things they love without giving up the responsibilities they've already taken off. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Are there any resources, people starting out in either that industry or any industry, resources, stuff you read? Like, how do you keep yourself kind of going?
So I don't read.
Audiobooks. I'm all about audiobooks. So.
Man, I don't read, other than financials and things like that. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I guess it's the competitor in me that I can't allow someone else to be better than me at what I do. And I study the guidelines. I study how to get around certain hurdles that other banks and other mortgage brokers are presenting to buyers and borrowers. I work on things like podcasts or listen to things like podcasts for other people that are investing. I want to hear their points of view on the industry from other people in the industry. I want to hear what kind of catastrophic meltdown they're expecting. We're still expecting it, by the way. I want to hear what kind of investment in crypto they're taking on. So I listen to other points of views on YouTube mainly, and that's helped me a lot in terms of kind of resources for someone out there. I'd say find a good realtor. Uh, Find a good realtor that really knows their craft. That's not out there just to sell you a property. You need to find someone that you trust, someone that if you're buying an investment property and he knows or she knows that it's not going to, positively cash flow, you have to know that person is going to tell you, Chris, don't buy this property. So find a good realtor and an even better mortgage broker that is able to give you access to the right kinds of loans, the right kinds of underwriting that you qualify for, so that you can build your real estate portfolio over time, even as a side hustle. It's extremely easy to do. You just have to be committed, give it a chance, be patient, and all that. So I'd say, just to kind of summarize that, find a really good realtor, keep them, find a really good mortgage broker, make sure that you're getting the best rates and so forth, keep them. And other than that, man, that's it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So who or what inspires you? it could be somebody who's not in real estate. It could be whatever. What do you listen to that fires you up?
Um, I'd say, man, my grandmother. Yeah,
Okay.
she. So my grandmother is, she moved to New York at the age of 16 from Cuba. So picture that, right? Imagine you as a 16-year-old that didn't know the language, adventurous enough to
Yeah.
be able to do that. So she moved to New York for a few years. She and eventually married. She had her first child in New York. Then she moved back to Cuba because her parents were sick, and the whole crisis happened with Cuba. She couldn't move back. She never saw her husband again, and eventually she remarried. She had another daughter, my mom, in Cuba, and and eventually, obviously, we made it back here. But knowing her and being able to start over, like really start over, like that, and she was so, what's the word? She didn't give up.
Hmm.
She was a fighter, man.
Determined.
She was a short little thing, and she and she was like a lion. So it inspires me, her story and what she went through in life, and she was still able to get back on her feet like nothing. It was like, I got to do it. There's no other, it's no other option.
Love it.
We're moving back. We're moving to New York, and now
Love it.
we're moving to Cuba, and we're staying here, and now we're moving back to Miami. And it's like, how does she do it? So that's really inspired me.
Awesome.
Wow.
It's afraid of letting her down, kind of thing. All of that she went
Yes.
through, and it's like, man,
Sure.
how can I let her down? Better be up at 5 a.m. studying
Yeah.
my guidelines, because it's like John's getting approved today. So and so that's she's inspired me. My father, who is my stepfather, also inspires me. Best man I know by far.
Mhm.
I don't know anyone that even comes close to him. So I had, growing up, that father figure from someone that didn't owe me anything, nothing. You know, that's so. It's so, what's the word? It's, I guess, inspiring, right? It's
Mhm.
motivating. It's like, how do I let this man down who owes me nothing and yet
Yeah.
has given me everything? So my father is a big inspirational source for me. And outside of that, I'd say I listen to a lot of lectures on psychology and the psychology of things, like Jordan Peterson, for example, big influence. I think I have more hours listened to Peterson than anything else, and Stephen Furtick, other
Mhm.
podcasts that I listen to often. I think that having that spirituality, whatever that means to you, is big. So he's also a big influence for me there
Awesome.
too.
Awesome.
That's amazing. This interview has been just amazing, Mario. Thank you so much. If you guys are loving this, hit the like button and share this out, because your information has been golden. And like you said, we're not financial advisors, but this is amazing life advice. Is there any question that we should have asked you? Is there anything we missed? This has been incredible, but what do you,
Um,
is there anything
man,
else you'd like to share?
I don't know. I guess maybe I just want to kind of say a couple of things in terms of building wealth over time.
Mhm.
You know, when you guys started your podcast, immediately when you defined what time freedom was, I was like, I get it. That's exactly what I want. That's my
Mhm.
goal. That's what I'm shooting for. And that having that time freedom to say, hey, let's go to Mexico for 4 days means everything to me. And that's what I work towards of. And whatever that may mean for someone, it may mean, that time freedom may mean something after 5 o'clock, which is fine. That 9 to 5 is important. That 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. it's important. There are people that function better. That's what drives them. It's okay, have that job,
Mhm.
but you must also have something to strive for, like a goal.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important to have a specific goal to shoot for, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a sales goal. Yeah, sure, those are great, it gets us places, but it's more of a, what I like, small little things, like what should I what should I do this week that I haven't done this past month, right? And having that time freedom, man, it means everything to me. I know back when I decided to go back to being a self-employed mortgage broker and real estate broker, I needed to have, I didn't want to have a 9 to 5 because I needed that time freedom to say at 2 o'clock, I'm going to take my wife to go eat, and I don't have to ask anyone to do so.
Yeah.
I can take her anywhere we go. And she means the world to me. And a lot of the things that I do are driven or focused towards how do I improve myself so that this person that has agreed to spend the rest of her life with me. I don't know what kind of crazy she is because she's agreed to that, and I can't let her down. I must constantly improve myself
Mhm.
just for her, right? And it's important to have that goal. It's important to have those positive people in your life. And again, man, it's not too difficult to start in real estate. And I go back to real estate because I'm in the industry. I know the ins and outs. I know the market, so it's a little bit easier for me, and I get it, right, than it would be for someone that's not financially, doesn't care for financials, numbers, and so forth. So I get that,
Mhm.
which is why I said find yourself a good realtor, a good mortgage broker. That person can help you. And but yeah, man, real estate is something that as a side hustle or main hustle can get people a lot of that time freedom that they may want.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I mean, you kind of touched on it in your talking just a minute ago. What does time freedom mean to you? Give me something from your heart,
Man,
man. What does it mean?
no, it means everything. It really does. It means, it means I have options. It means I'm doing the right things.
Mhm.
It means I can be the best husband that I possibly could. It could be it means I could be the best son, best brother. It's all of those things. And again, that's to me,
Yeah.
because to someone that has a 9 to 5, that time freedom could be after 5, and it must be. You need to have that.
Right.
So for me, time freedom just it means all of those things that I want to do without restrictions, without having to ask for permission. It gives me the ability to be creative. I like to. I can't be put in a box. I will. I'll find a way to hang myself in that box. I can't be within constraints, things like that. So
Yeah.
when I think time freedom, man, it means everything that I'm striving for, everything that I work for. And I know my wife shares the same sentiment, where she wants to also be financially, have that financial freedom, that time freedom, where we can get up and say, let's go to New York for the weekend. We can still work from New York right now via Zoom and all that. It's even more easier. Let's go to anywhere and we can work without having to ask someone for
Mhm.
that permission to do so. So yeah, man, it means everything.
Love it, love it.
I love that.
It's definitely what we're all striving for, and the information we're trying to provide here to have others, gain whatever time freedom they're looking for. That's really what we're important. But man, thanks for spending some time with us, brother. It was an amazing interview, and guys, if you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and I hope you watch this video 5 or 6 times, because you're going to get nuggets that you probably didn't hear the first time that are going to start sinking in. And they say repetition is the mother of skill. So you hear something, you do something over and over again, it becomes a skill, and having a skill is invaluable.
And I'm guessing if somebody needs a mortgage broker, should they check out your website or?
Yeah, look, you guys can leave my cell phone at the bottom. It's best to text me.
Yeah.
It's hard for me sometimes to answer the phone. I do meetings, I'm on Zoom, conference calls, and so forth. Best way to reach me is to text me. Any questions,
Mhm.
concerns, even if you guys don't use us for your real estate and mortgage, if you guys are currently in contract or in application with a bank and they're giving you problems, and you guys just want to maybe try to brainstorm a solution, just reach out to me. I may be able to point you the right way.
Love
Love it.
that. Love that, Mario. Thank you so much for your time, man. That was amazing.
Cool, man. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
All
All
right.
right. Take it easy. That was amazing. And
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say? That was an awesome.
No, look, I think there's a lot of information there, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize, building a portfolio, even though I have properties that I own, that basically work him up to a 1 bedroom, to a 2 bedroom, to a
I like
3 bedroom, to a townhome. What a concept, and the fact
Yeah.
that you just keep building on top of it into a cash positive position. It is definitely a lot easier than many people think
Yeah.
it is, and
Love it.
I think there was a lot of good tidbits and nuggets in there, and I'm excited for the next one.
I'm definitely gonna make my son watch this one because that was awesome, very valuable. But
For
you
sure.
guys, it's been an amazing stream, and like John said, share this out and like it, and hope you guys have an amazing Friday and amazing weekend. We may put up some spontaneous videos this weekend because the markets are running. So
Absolutely. Otherwise, we'll see you on Monday, and keep tuning into Time Freedom Daily for your daily nuggets. We'll be here every day.
indeed. See you guys. Have a great day.